And many of them are not even aware that they are returnees like you, assembling the letter. I know if many of them were to be aware that the assembly vehicle they are, you know what? I don't want mommy to go and be queuing when there is a fuel shortage, or daddy to go and be queuing when there. So what do you want to, looking at your camera?
What I want to tell the diaspora is that Nigeria that you see today is a totally different country. Okay, when I left, there was virtually no middle class. There's actually a bigger middle. Believe me, you do not want mommy and daddy to drive a car that is going to give them problem, and the mechanic is going to, be their best friend. To give them actually an EV, because now you're solving that reliability problem, and you're also solving the power problem, and then you're also solving the sending driver to go and drive to go and queue in the gas station. But more importantly, I want to put your mind, as Bola and I were saying before the program, there is an actual investment opportunity for diasporans, because we all have cousins who need help and they reach out to us. But there is now an opportunity to invest in the renewable industry, and specifically electric cars, because now somebody can actually make a living using an electric car in ride hailing, using an electric car in mobility, using an electric car in mass transport. There are employment opportunities, but it goes back to that old saying of teach people how to fish rather than not giving them fish.
Feed them for a meal.
Yes.
Teach a man how to fish,
yes,
and you feed him for the rest of his
exactly.
life. Thank you very much, Doc. It's quite wonderful having you here. Maybe because I'm an automotive person with one art. This is where we'll be wrapping it up for today. I am Bola Oba.
It is engagement we need to have.
Those who suffer miscarriages are never taken into account.
Members of the National Assembly are also influence peddlers.
You are sitting on Nigerians' money.
From the Babin, I pay my rent. From the Babin, I send my children to school.
A consultative engagement.
No any tangible notification before they ban us.
It's one thing for people to be at your back and the heat of the moment, and another thing for them to still be with you when push comes to shove.
At least your treacherous body will.
It's a nation forged from the ruins of a fallen empire. A once poor country that in the early 2000s rose to become an economic success story. And whose leader, Recep Tayyip Erdogan, inspired hope.
He came to power saying he respected democracy.
Yet during his nearly two-decade rule, Erdogan has received bedrock principles: freedom of the press.
So we started to see a crackdown on media.
It's resulted in fines, arrests, trials, and imprisonment for journalists who question the government.
There's no space for freedom of expression and free media in Turkey.
Many of Turkey's citizens have seen November 3rd, 2002, Ankara, Turkey. Outside the Justice and Development Party headquarters, a crowd celebrates a stunning landslide victory in Turkey's national election. The party, known as the AKP, is the first with Islamist roots to win full control of the government in the nation's history. Its leader, a charismatic 48-year-old former mayor of Istanbul, Recep Tayyip Erdogan. His victory speech brims with confidence.
Demokrasinin daha sağlıklı çalışması için oy verdiniz. Sizler yönetemeyen bir demokrasiden yöneten bir demokrasiye geçiş için oy verdiniz.
Erdogan had formed the AKP only a year earlier. But Turkey's voters were ready for change.
Victory in 2002 followed a decade of immense political and economic instability in Turkey. The country suffered from triple-digit inflation in the 1990s, as well as cases of corruption that were aired out by. So the electorate was sick and tired of what looked like unending political victory, promised to bring in a breath of fresh air.
Erdogan's AKP platform proposed a series of democratic reforms, among them pledging to ease up on the news media, which had long been subject to government censorship. Turkey seemed poised for a new era.
There really was a lot
of Mecca, Ismail prays, steadfast in his commitment to his God, his president. Kasimpasa is also home to Ismail's daughter, Mehtap, who's 50 years old, married, with 3 grown daughters of her own. She handles the daily management of her father's hotel. Nearly 2 decades later, she remembers meant for pious Muslims.
Tayyip Erdoğan'ın zaferi çok şükür. Gerçekten hakiki demokrasi şimdi bugünden var şimdi. Ama daha evvelden yoktu.
The Turkish Republic was born in 1923, following the collapse of the Ottoman Empire. Its founder created a European-style state religion from government. Secularism became Turkey's modern faith. Devout Muslims felt left behind. For decades, they lived as second-class citizens, often viewed as backward or even fanatical by their secularist countrymen. During the 1980s, women wearing the hijab, a headscarf expressing their faith, were banned from schools, government buildings, and college campuses. 18-year-old Mehtap was one of them. In rising to the country's highest office, the unapologetically religious Erdogan placed Islam at the heart of public life. During his first term in power, he gave millions. They expressed their gratitude at the ballot box. Voters rewarded Erdogan's AKP with national election victories in 2007, and then again in 2011. In 2004, a caricature set him off. Political cartoonist Musa Kart drew Erdogan as a cat entangled, sued Kart and the newspaper that printed the cartoon. The court ruled in Erdogan's favor and fined the cartoonist for publicly humiliating the prime minister, reversed by Turkey's Supreme Court. But it would not be the last time a cartoonist knew, since Erdogan himself had famously been persecuted for speaking out. In April 1998, as mayor of Istanbul, he was found guilty of reciting a poem deemed a threat to Turkey's secularist system. The day he began his sentence, hundreds of supporters accompanied him to the prison, where he spent 4 months behind bars, celebrated as a champion of free speech.
When Erdogan went to jail, it was not only that it solidified his base amongst his traditional supporters,